That also took the opportunity to reissue the same caution that the president had sent to all appointees to be circumspect in their conduct. There may be things that may be commonplace in our private lives, but once you become a public official, you need to be sensitive to public expectation, and therefore that ought to guide the way that you order your steps. So in view of that, presidency does not believe that any further action ought to be taken beyond the apology and the caution. And we all take a cue from it and are going to do better in order to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian public. We value feedback. We are aware that Ghanaians expect high standards in the performance of our duties as public officials. We remain committed to meeting those high standards to ensure that we deliver the best of governance to our people who have been long suffering in the last few years under poor governance.
We'll stay with this story because we are now joined by Adam Senano. He's a co-chair of the Citizen Movement Against Corruption on the phone lines to pick his thoughts on the latest development. Mr. Senano, if you can hear me, welcome to Channel One News.
And thank you for having me.
Great. Now, the president's decision to forgive Sammy has sparked some mixed reactions. In your opinion, does this bring an end to the controversy?
Well, yes. I already anticipated that this is what will happen, basically because there isn't a specific aspect of the Code of Conduct that covers this. And it is, yes, an indiscretion, and as a public officer, but I couldn't see the president finding a basis to say they're going to take some substantive sanction. And so I believe that the apology and the caution are in order.
Right. Following up on this, some also saw this incident as a test for President Mohammed's stance on anti-corruption. You were saying that you didn't expect that this will go the other way, as we've seen. But based on his handling of it, would you say the president has passed the test?
Well, yes, I'm happy that it was not trivialized. Because on one hand, you could have had a situation where there was no engagement, but we had the chief of staff inviting him, and then they waited for the president to come apparently to brief. They also did some investigation, I gather, on what was the source of the dollars, and then drew the conclusion that this wasn't something that was untoward. So I think that to the extent that then they had a public, press conference to give feedback, it shows that the presidency is mindful of all these issues and ready to take action when and where necessary.
What do you say to those who believe that the apology wasn't good enough and the president's response to the whole thing is not good enough and he should have done better?
I mean, there has to be a basis for that. What was the president going to hold him for? What would be the legal or policy basis? And that's really the question. I have said that what we need to do is to pick up the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, dust it, final stronger basis for which any citizen can take on board a duty bearer, an accountable party, and say, you have breached the law, and therefore these are the sanctions. But at the moment, what would be the basis? Even looking at the Code of Conduct, there was nothing explicit looking at someone giving out money. And so, to that extent, I think that this is satisfactory.
So moving forward with regards to the Code of Conduct, where it really doesn't have a legal basis. If you look at some of the things we see as the days develop within, the public sector, how should he go about in terms of when things like this happen and there's no basis really in the code of ethics to hold people accountable?
It's the reason why the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which had gotten to the level of cabinet last year, which our former president had said on 2 occasions he was going to make sure he passed and give us a world-class, public officers bill. That is a comprehensive bill, piece of legislation, of potential legislation, which will make it easy to identify sanctions, administrative gaps, if there are issues that deal with lifestyle audit. That has been made to be much more comprehensive than the current code of conduct we are looking at, which is an executive policy. In this instance, it is only the president who may decide to take action. But if you have a law, any citizen who identifies a breach has the right to go to court, has the right to follow up, has the right to raise issues. So much more important for this country, in my view, is for this government to take up the issue of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, dust it, finalize it, pass it. That way, we would have a basis in law to hold officers accountable.
Would you be, I know you do a lot of advocacy around, all these corruption issues and all that, but would you be pushing together with your group further for the bill to be pushed, considering what we just saw over the past few days?
Absolutely, and indeed that has been my response from day one, that we appreciate that the president has passed a code of conduct which he is holding his appointees to, but much more important for this country would be to pass the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. It has to be dusted, finalized. There are a few things that need to be upgraded. We want to be sure that verification and publication of assets is right there. A few things, but we need to have a law rather than just an executive policy, which is when we need to get action.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adam Senanu, for your time. That was the co-chair of the Citizen Movement Against Corruption, Adam Senanu, giving us his thoughts around the president pardoning the CEO of the Gold Board. Let's move away from that, and the 5-member committee appointed by the president to investigate 3 petitions filed against Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo will begin its hearings on Thursday, May 15, 2025. Now, chaired by Supreme Court Justice Gabriel Scott, the committee was established under Article 1466 of the 1992 Constitution after a prima facie case was determined. Now, the committee was formed in consultation with the Council of State. It is set to meet 3 times a week and will present its findings and recommendations to the President upon completion. Now, the outcome of the hearings is expected to play a pivotal role in determining the future of the Chief Justice as public and institutional interest in the case continues to grow. Let's do a bit of security.